Right. So to kick this off, I have to admit something, and it's a little embarrassing.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of days ago, I was trying to get back into running, and I haven't done any, serious cardio in months. I get about 2 miles in, and I just hit this absolute wall. My chest was tight, my legs felt like they were filled with concrete, and my brain was just screaming, "Stop! You are done!
Right.
You are physically incapable of taking another step." So I stopped, I walked home, feeling completely, totally tapped out.
That feeling, it's not just a suggestion, is it? It feels like a biological mandate. It's like a
Yes.
survival instinct just takes over.
It felt like if I kept going, I was literally going to collapse.
Yeah.
But then I started reading the material for today's deep dive, and now I'm sitting here realizing that my survival instinct it was basically gaslighting me.
It's a harsh realization,
Yeah.
but that's the absolute core of what we're unpacking today, that feeling of being done, of hitting your absolute limit. It's a lie.
And not a small one either. According to our source material today, which is a deep dive into David Goggins and his book, Can't Hurt Me. When I stopped running, I wasn't at 100%. I wasn't even at 90.
Yeah.
I was probably only at 40%.
That is the famous 40% rule. It's this idea that when your mind tells you you're finished, you're actually less than halfway there.
So today, we're going to tear this whole concept apart.
Right.
And we're not just doing a biography of Goggins. I mean, most people know the basics. Ultra-endurance athlete, former Navy SEAL.
Right.
We want to look at the specific mental toolkit. We're going to talk about the biology of why our brains lie to us. A tool he calls the accountability mirror. And this is the big one. Why voluntary suffering might be the only path to building real confidence.
I'm really glad we're doing this because Goggins is, I think, often misunderstood. People just see the yelling and the, running on broken legs, and they just think it's about being tough.
Yeah, just brute force.
But if you actually analyze the method behind it, it's all psychology. It's about overriding a very specific governor in your brain.
Okay, let's start right there with that, Governor. Because when I hear 40% rule, my skeptical brain immediately kicks in. I mean, pain is real, right? It exists for a reason.
Of course.
If I touch a hot stove, my brain screams, "Stop," and I should definitely listen. So if I'm running and I feel like I'm going to die, isn't that a legitimate safety warning?
That is the million-dollar question. And to understand the 40% rule, you have to understand the brain's #1 job. Its priority isn't your success, it's not your happiness, and it is definitely not you running a marathon.
It's just keeping the organism alive.
Exactly, survival. And to keep you alive, it has to conserve energy. Think about it like the governor on a car engine. You know how a sports car might be able to go 200 miles per hour, but the manufacturer puts a chip in it that limits the speed to, say, 155.
Sure, yeah, to keep the engine from blowing up or to keep the driver from, killing themselves.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain has the same thing. When you're pushing hard, running, studying, whatever, your brain detects that you're burning through glycogen, stress hormones are spiking, and it interprets that as a threat.
It thinks this is dangerous.
It thinks we're burning fuel way too fast. What if there's a famine? What if a tiger attacks? So it hoards energy for a disaster that isn't actually happening.
And it does that by creating the sensation of pain and fatigue.
Yes, it slams on the brakes to keep you in the safe zone. So Goggins' whole argument is that the 40% mark is where that governor kicks in. Your muscles weren't actually failing at 2 miles. Your brain was just forcing a shutdown.
So the pain is real, but the signal that I'm at my limit it's false.
I'd say it's premature. That's a better way to put it. And to your point about the hot stove, this isn't about ignoring an acute injury. If a bone snaps, you stop.
Of course.
But there is a huge difference between structural failure and I'm uncomfortable and tired. The 40% rule is all about that latter one. It's about the mental barrier, not the physical one.
Okay, but how do you actually push past it? I mean, it's one thing to know the science. It's another when you're out there gasping for air, that instinct feels impossible to override.
And that's why it requires training. This is a key point Goggins makes. Growth only happens after the 40% mark.
Right.
If you stop every time you feel tired, you're just maintaining your baseline. You're living inside the boundaries your governor has set for you.
You have to prove the governor wrong.
Yes, you have to expose yourself to the stress, survive it, and essentially show your brain, see, we didn't die.
Yeah.
And that resets the governor just a little bit higher for the next time.
This flows perfectly into the next big idea, which is about who's in charge of that governor. Because when we hit our limits, we love to look for something to blame.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not built for running. I didn't get enough sleep. My boss is stressing me out.
It's taking responsibility. And this is probably the least popular part of the Goggins mindset because it strips away all of our favorite defenses.
It's so uncomfortable. And we live in a culture that's very empathetic to circumstances, and for good reason. I mean, people have trauma, they have bad starts in life. Goggins himself had a horrific childhood.
Absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
Abuse, racism, poverty. If anyone had a quote-unquote past to be a victim, it was him.
And for a while, he used it. That's what's so interesting. He wasn't born this way. He was overweight, spraying for cockroaches, and feeling sorry for himself. The change happened when he realized that blaming his past, even though it was valid, it was also useless.
Valid but useless. That is a fantastic distinction.
Right.
Because blame is just a mechanism to transfer power. If I say, I can't succeed because of my upbringing, I've just admitted that my upbringing has more power over my future than I do.
You've handed the keys to a ghost from 20 years ago.
Exactly. So the alternative is what he calls brutal honesty.
Okay, but what does that actually look like? Because I feel like we all think we're honest with ourselves, but we're probably not.
We're absolutely not. We spin narratives. We say, I'm just not a math person, instead of I haven't practiced enough. So Goggins suggests a tactic that is, well, it's intense. He talks about literally writing down your slaws.
A laundry list of everything that sucks about you.
Everything. Your insecurities, your failures, the things you're ashamed of. I am lazy. I am envious. I quit when things get hard. You have to look at the raw data, without the Instagram filter.
That sounds incredibly demoralizing. If I stare at a list of 50 things wrong with me, I might just crawl back into bed. Where's the benefit in that?
It's not about beating yourself up. It's about finding the starting line. You can't navigate to a destination if you don't know where you are. If you're 300 pounds and you tell yourself you're just a little big, you won't take the kind of drastic action that's needed.
It's the map. It says, you are here. It's ugly, but this is reality.
Right. It's that difference between a kind of self-love that enables you and a tough love that actually changes you. And this brings us to the tool he uses to enforce all this, the accountability mirror.
Okay, walk me through this, because when I read about it, I admit, I cringed a little. It feels very, I don't know, movie montage. Standing in front of a mirror, talking to yourself. It feels weird.
It is weird. And it's supposed to be awkward. That's the point. The accountability mirror isn't about looking at yourself and saying, you're a tiger, you're beautiful.
So no daily Stuart Smalley moments.
No, it's about facing your own reflection, which is surprisingly hard when you know you've been slacking and holding yourself accountable for the mission. Talks about using sticky notes.
Sticky notes?
Yeah. He'd put his goals on the mirror, but not vague goals like get fit. He'd break it down, run 2 miles, study for the ASVAB for 2 hours. And if he didn't do it, he had to stand there and tell himself the truth.
Wow.
You didn't do the work today because you chose to watch TV instead.
There is nowhere to hide in that.
That's the whole mechanic. It externalizes your internal dialogue. In your head, you can rationalize anything. Oh, my leg hurt, I'll do it tomorrow. But when you have to look yourself in the eye and say it out loud, the excuse just sounds pathetic.
It feels like it effectively weaponizes shame, but like a productive shame, not a toxic one.
I'd call it constructive discomfort. And that discomfort is the friction that creates change, which leads us right to the concept of mental calluses.
I love this analogy because I play a little guitar. When you first start pressing those strings, it hurts like hell. Your fingertips are raw, they blister, it's awful.
Right.
But if you keep at it, the skin hardens, you get calluses, and suddenly you can play for hours and feel nothing.
That is the perfect metaphor. Goggins argues that the mind works the exact same way. But in our modern world, we're obsessed with moisturizing the mind. We remove all the friction.
We really do. We have climate-controlled houses, food delivered to our door, entertainment on demand. If I'm slightly bored, I scroll. If I'm slightly hungry, I eat. I almost never have to just sit with discomfort.
And because of that, we're soft. We have no calluses. So when life inevitably throws a real curveball, someone gets sick, you lose your job, we just fall apart. We haven't conditioned our minds to handle stress.
So how do you build these calluses without waiting for a tragedy to strike? Do we just make ourselves miserable on purpose?
In a controlled way, yes.
Yeah.
It's what he calls intentional hardship.
Yeah.
You seek out friction. You don't wait for the rain to run. You run because it's raining. You don't wake up early because you have to. You wake up early because it sucks to get out of a warm bed.
And the value isn't in the act itself, the running or waking up.
No.
It's in the mental win of overcoming the resistance to do it.
Exactly. Every time you do something you don't want to do, you add another layer of callus to your mind. You are training your brain that I'm a kind of person who does hard things. It's a form of identity shifting.
Controlled struggle. That seems like a key distinction. It's not blind suffering. It's suffering with a purpose.
Right. And this is where someone always asks, but isn't this miserable? Isn't the point of life to be happy?
I mean, yeah. Why would I choose to suffer? Life's hard enough already.
And Goggins' argument, and I think a lot of psychological research backs this up, is that you cannot have true confidence without suffering. And this is the part I find most profound. We mistake confidence for validation.
Unpack that for me. What's the difference there?
Validation is external. It's your mom telling you you're special, your boss saying good job, getting likes on a photo. It feels like confidence, but it's fragile. It's rented. The second the praise stops or someone criticizes you, that confidence just collapses.
That hits home. You see that everywhere. People who are incredibly successful on paper, but one failure just completely destroys them.
Because they have no evidence.
Hmm.
Goggins says real confidence comes from a personal resume of suffering. It comes from looking back and being able to say, I survived that. I pushed past the 40% rule there. I kept going when every part of me wanted to quit.
It's retrospective trust.
Yes. You trust yourself to handle the future because you have the receipts from the past. You can't hack that. You can't just chant affirmations in the mirror to get that. You have to earn it.
So, in a weird way, the suffering is the shortcut. If you try to bypass the pain, you just end up with this hollow version of confidence that breaks under the first sign of pressure.
Exactly. The armor is built in the fire.
Mhm.
You don't get the armor by standing outside the forge thinking positive thoughts about it.
This is heavy, but it's also weirdly empowering. It kind of takes the mystery out of greatness. We look at people like Goggins and think they have some magic gene,
Right.
but what you're saying is they just learned how to ignore the governor.
They learn to manage their mind. The mind is the most powerful weapon you have, but if you don't control it, it will control you, and it will always, always steer you toward the couch and the path of least resistance.
So let's try to bring this all together for someone listening right now who's maybe feeling that stuckness.
Okay, we started with the 40% rule.
Hmm.
The realization that the feeling of I'm done is a biological lie designed to keep you safe and comfortable.
Right. And to break past that, we have to stop blaming our circumstances. We have to take brutal responsibility, even if a situation isn't our fault.
Because blame just hands your power away. And we can fix that by using the accountability mirror. We face the ugly truth of our inaction. Not to shame ourselves into hiding, but to shame ourselves into action.
And we sustain that action by callousing the mind. We intentionally do hard things, run in the rain, make that tough phone call to build the mental toughness we need for when life gets genuinely hard.
And the result of all that friction, all that suffering, is true confidence. Not the fluffy kind, but the battle-tested kind that comes from knowing exactly what you're capable of enduring.
It's a rigorous framework. I mean, it's not for everyone, maybe. But for anyone who feels like they're leaving potential on the table, it seems like the only way out.
I think it is. And I want to leave everyone listening with one last thought to chew on. We talked about the protective brain, the governor.
The liar.
The liar. So look at your life right now and identify one barrier that you think is impossible. Maybe it's running a marathon, starting a business. Maybe it's just fixing a broken relationship.
The thing you've labeled, I can't.
Exactly. And ask yourself, is that barrier a real physical wall? Or is it just a safety mechanism? Is it your brain telling you we shouldn't go there, it might be uncomfortable?
Yeah.
What if that impossible limit is actually just your 40% mark, just waiting to be crossed?
That's a terrifying and an exciting question, because if it is just the 40% mark, that means there's a whole lot of life left on the other side.
A whole lot of life.
I think I need to go rethink my run from the other day. I definitely left a few miles on the table.
I think we all do.
This was a deep one. Thank you for listening. Stop listening to the governor. Go find some friction, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.